There's a scene near the end of Batman Mask of the Phantasm, one of the greatest animated films ever made, where the Joker laughs. Not his usual laugh, not the chaos laugh, not the "I've set a trap" laugh. He laughs like someone who finally understands the punchline, like someone who figured something out. And for years, I thought that laugh was just a villain being unhinged. I was wrong. Because what the Joker says in that moment, and what he says across nearly every episode of Batman the Animated Series, was never just taunting. It wasn't rambling. It wasn't madness. It was a diagnosis. And before we go any further, let me be completely clear about something. Batman is everything people say he is. The greatest detective in the world. A man who turned tragedy into purpose. Who built something extraordinary from the worst night of his life. None of that is in question. But the Joker looked at Batman and saw something that Alfred never said. Something Commissioner Gordon never acknowledged. Something the entire city of Gotham missed for decades. He saw that Batman didn't actually want to win. You'll see how every major confrontation between these two characters was never really a battle. It was a mirror, and Batman spent his entire life refusing to look. To understand what the Joker saw, you have to understand what everyone else saw first. In Batman the Animated Series, Bruce Wayne is a figure of absolute control. He speaks in deliberate sentences. He plans 10 moves ahead. He moves through Gotham like the city was built around him, because psychologically for Bruce, it was. Watch that season 1 episode, Nothing to Fear. A fear toxin forces Batman to confront his own guilt over his parents' deaths. Every other hero in that scenario breaks down. Batman pushes through it by literally saying his own name out loud. I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman. As a kid, that gave you chills because it was powerful. As an adult, watch that scene again. That's not a man conquering fear. That's a man who has built an identity so rigid, so armored, that he uses it like a shield against his own humanity. And the Joker noticed immediately. In their very first real confrontation in the animated series, the Joker doesn't try to understand Batman's plan. He doesn't try to outsmart him. He does something far more interesting. He tries to make him laugh. Everyone reading that probably thought the same thing as an 8-year-old. Typical Joker, just being crazy. But here's what nobody talks about. Why would someone obsessed with chaos spend so much energy trying to provoke a reaction from one person? Gotham has 8 million people. The Joker could torment any of them. He comes back to Batman, always, specifically, deliberately, because Batman is the only person in Gotham who reminds the Joker of himself. And the Joker has been saying that out loud for 30 years. Nobody listened. Mask of the Phantasm is where the Joker's diagnosis becomes impossible to deny. If you haven't seen it recently, go back and watch it. Not for the action. Watch it for the flashbacks. Young Bruce Wayne, before the cape and the cowl, falls in love with Andrea Beaumont. He almost gives up the idea of becoming Batman entirely. He kneels at his parents' grave and essentially asks for permission to be human. And then Andrea leaves. The chance at a normal life disappears. And Bruce doesn't grieve it. Not really. He uses it. He takes that pain and he puts it on like armor, along with everything else. Andrea's abandonment doesn't break Bruce, it justifies him. It becomes another entry in the long ledger of reasons why Batman must exist and Bruce Wayne cannot. Sound familiar? Now here's what the Joker says when he finally meets the Phantasm, the masked vigilante who's been cleaning up Gotham's mob while Batman gets the blame. He pieces together the entire situation in minutes. He finds it hilarious, not because people are dying, but because he sees what's actually happening. Two people in masks. Two people defined entirely by a single traumatic night. Two people who cannot stop. Not because Gotham needs them, but because stopping would require them to face who they are without the mission. The Joker looks at Batman and sees someone who made the same choice he did. He just chose a different costume. Watch the Joker's performance in that film again. When he's on screen, he's not performing chaos, he's performing recognition. There's a specific quality to Mark Hamill's voice in those scenes. Not manic, not scattered, almost satisfied, like someone watching a tragedy they called from the beginning. And then Batman Beyond happened. and it changed everything about how we should read Bruce Wayne. Batman Beyond is set decades later. Bruce is old, broken down, alone in Wayne Manor with only a dog for company, a detail the show presents quietly, without drama, because the drama is already written on his face. He gave everything to Gotham, the relationships, the body, the chance at a life. Alfred is gone. Barbara Gordon, who loved him, married someone else and built a real life. Dick Grayson hasn't spoken to him in years. And Gotham still has crime, still has villains, still needs a Batman, just a younger one, because Bruce literally cannot do it anymore. Here's the number that should stop you cold. Bruce Wayne spent approximately 40 years as Batman in the animated continuity. 40 years! And at the end of those 40 years, the city still needs a Batman. The Joker, even after the events of Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker, still managed to reach forward through time and nearly destroy everything Bruce built. The mission was never going to end. Bruce knew that. He chose it anyway. The Joker told him this would happen. In episode after episode, the Joker's core provocation was never, "I will destroy Gotham." It was always a variation of the same line. You need me as much as I need you. As a kid, that read as a villain being dramatic. As an adult, read that carefully. The Joker was describing the only relationship in Bruce Wayne's life that was permanent. Not Alfred, not Robin, not any version of love or partnership Bruce ever touched. The one constant, the one thing Bruce unconsciously protected above everything else was this. He kept the Joker alive every time, always with a reason, always with a principle. But the Joker never went away, and Batman never let him. Because without the Joker, Batman has to ask the question he has never once answered. What am I when the mission is over? The Joker is standing in the middle of everything collapsing around him. Literally, the building is coming down, and he laughs. Not because he's winning. He's not winning. He's about to be presumed dead in a chemical explosion. He laughs because he's right. He told Batman years ago what Batman was. He told him that the mask wasn't the disguise. He told him that Bruce Wayne was the performance, the charity events, the Playboy smile, the dinner parties, and Batman was the only real thing left in him. And there in the rubble, with Andrea gone and the Phantasm vanished and Gotham no safer than it was before, Batman proves every single word of it true. He doesn't leave. He doesn't stop. He pulls the cape tighter and he goes back to the rooftops, because that's all there is. The Joker wasn't Batman's greatest enemy. He was Batman's most honest one. Every villain in the Rogues Gallery tried to beat Batman. The Joker tried to show him something. And Batman, the greatest detective in the world, the man who can solve any puzzle, crack any case, anticipate any threat, spent decades refusing to solve the one mystery that actually mattered: himself. As a kid, you watched Batman the Animated Series and you cheered for the Caped Crusader and you booed the Clown Prince of Crime. As an adult, watch those same episodes again. The Joker was the only one in Gotham telling the truth. Nobody listened, including Batman. And maybe that's the darkest thing the writers ever put into a children's cartoon. Not the violence, not the villains, the idea that the hero and the monster understood each other perfectly, and only one of them was honest about it. If this video hit differently than you expected, that's the point. Batman the Animated Series was built with layers. The creators trusted that one day, the kids watching it would grow up and rewatch it and see something they missed. This was one of those things. Drop in the comments, which animated character do you think had the most honest read on the hero they were supposed to be fighting? Because I've got a list, and some of these answers are going to genuinely surprise you. Subscribe if you want the next one, because we're just getting started.